Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1989's Field of Dreams. All right, before we jump into it, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Corey_Idol. And if you want to follow the show, you could follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Kiss the Reviews. Let's get into the cast of 1989's Field of Dreams. This film stars Kevin Costner as Ray Kinsella, Amy Madigan as Annie Kinsella, Gaby Hoffmann as Karin Kinsella, Ray Liotta as Shoeless Joe Jackson, Timothy Busfield as Mark, and James Earl Jones as Terence Mann.
Timothy Busfield character's name should have been Needs to be Knocked the Fuck Out.
He plays such a prick in this movie.
Oh my god.
And he does it really well. Like
he does. Like he's one of my low-key favorite actors.
Yes.
Because I love him on The West Wing. He was in one of my favorite baseball movies, Little Big League, as stupid as that sounds, where he was phenomenal in that movie and actually looked like a baseball player. So when I saw him pop up and I hadn't seen this movie in so long, I was like, yo, is he one of the baseball players? That's awesome. Nope, he's the dick.
You were right.
Okay, I'm going to skip to the end real quick because I do like this movie. But man, I got some problems with it. And
what do you mean? You have a problem with the realism of Field of Dreams?
No, there's a couple of scenes that I'm like, really? That's what we're doing? That's what you wrote here? No, not for me. But I also, what I don't, this really has nothing to do with the movie. It has more to do with people that I know, not y'all watching or y'all requesting this movie because you paid us to do this movie. And I'm very happy for that. The people that I know in my life that love this movie, they're the baseball purists. Back when the game was, this is how you played, and there was no bat flipping and the big bat. That whole attitude of certain people that like this movie bothers me, which makes me not like the movie probably as much as I should. Does that make sense?
Look, yeah, no, it does, because there's one glaring spot in the baseball of this movie, and they're all whites.
Yes.
Like, the fact that Shoeless Joe Jackson shakes Terence Mann's hand at some point is like, oh, way to go, Shoeless Joe. You're a good guy. You shook another human being's hand, and we're like giving him a fucking award. Like,
well, and
that's the connotation I take when people are like, back when baseball was pure. Anytime somebody says when something was pure and they're white, I immediately back up 5 to 10 steps. Like, COVID restrictions. That's what I immediately go to COVID restrictions when I hear that.
Yeah, so that's one thing. The other issue that I take with this movie is, you know, if you build it, they will come, and it builds the baseball field, and Shoeless Joe, because he was unfairly banned from baseball and yada yada. There's been a million stories and other movies. You can go watch 8 Men Out, which is also a really good movie about the whole Black Sox scandal. But okay, cool. Shoeless Joe and maybe 1 or 2 others were unjustly banned from this movie celebrates all the other ones, all the other shitbags that got in with the mob and fixed the World Series so they could play baseball as ghosts again. Like, cool. How about this? Shoeless Joe and like 2 or 3 of the other guys that didn't really have it. Cool, you guys can play. The rest of you dirtballs, go back in the corn. Get back in the fucking corn.
Hell yes.
How about, we'll just get into the movie because I know you probably got a lot to say. I know I got a lot to say about this. We'll start with the opening, which is the voiceover from Ray Kinsella. It's about his parents and his dad and baseball and how he got where he is today, which is a farmer in Iowa. It then cuts to Ray walking through the cornfield. He hears the voice. If you build it, he will come. And his wife, Annie, totally dismisses it while setting the table for dinner. And then this kind of keeps snowballing because he mentions that he hears a voice out in the field and he tells Annie about it again and, you know, what he thinks the voice means. And she's skeptical, but still makes jokes and tells him to follow his vision of building this ball field. Quick, don't do that on this whole Annie character.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, spouses. It's cool to be supportive when your husband or your wife or whatever says, hey, I have this vision, I have this dream about doing X, Y, or Z. But this is insane. If my wife came to me and said, hey, I don't know, I was gardening in the back and a voice told me that I need to turn the backyard into, you know, Michael Jackson's playground or whatever the hell. I got to put a Ferris wheel in the back. And I'd be like, what? No. First of all, we're not doing that because in this movie, we're farmers. And I use the term farmers loosely because apparently he's horrible at it and they're barely hanging on by a thread. Yes. And now he wants to take a large chunk of their moneymaker, which is corn, and put a baseball field in it because his dad didn't have a catch with him when he was 5 or whatever.
And this is where we disagree.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, spouses. Uncle Corey here. We harp to you every single week, every time a relationship is in a movie about good spouse, bad spouse, ride or die. This is the fucking definition of ride or die. You want to fucking have a baseball field because a fucking ghost told you to? Let's fucking go, bro. I'm with you. Fuck it. Let's go to the loony bin together, bro. I got nothing else to do tomorrow. I think it was dope, and it avoided the cliche of like, well, my wife doubted me, and now she's a believer. It's like, fuck off. I'm so sick of that shit. It was so refreshing that they jumped right into the voice after the narration by Costner. They jumped right into the fucking plot, and we avoid like, oh, this is fracturing our relationship. It really never does. It gets difficult because of money. Yep. But they are ride or fucking die. That is what you want.
But like you said, he starts immediately working on building this baseball field for the next couple of days. His neighbors stop to watch and heckle him that he's going to go broke because he's tearing up all the corn and yada, yada. And this is the one thing I do like about this, back to your point, is the movie, okay, voiceover, I hear voices, I'm building this baseball field. That's literally the first 10 minutes of the movie. Like, this movie gets underway in a goddamn hurry. Because
I actually had to pause it and make sure, like, what did I miss? Like, did I just skip through, like, a whole fucking beginning section? Nope.
Yep.
Nope, we're just getting right to the goddamn point, and I salute you, filmmakers.
100%. I am right there with you because, again, within the first 10 minutes, baseball field's already built. He's like teaching his daughter about Shoeless Joe and yada yada and baseball, and the field gets built. And then one night while they're doing bills, Annie tells Ray that they're almost break even, if that. He used all their savings on this field. And during that conversation, his daughter tells him that there's some strange man on the field. And he goes out and it's Shoeless Joe Jackson, or the ghost of, and they play some ball together. His family then comes out to meet Shoeless Joe, and he leaves after telling Ray that he's going to get his ghost buddies to come out and play some ball because, you know, Ray isn't that good of a ball player. So...
And I got to tell you, R.I.P. Ray Liotta, man. He's so fucking good in this movie.
He's great in this movie.
He doesn't look like a baseball player. He doesn't act like a baseball player in any role he's ever played before. He is so good in this movie.
Yeah.
I loved him in this movie.
Thanks.
Let's face facts. In the early aughts and into like the 1920s, most baseball players didn't look like baseball players either.
You're right. They did. They looked like they were fucking bagmen for the mob and dock workers and shit because they were.
You're right. It's fact.
It then cuts to Ray's brother-in-law, Mark, tells him he doesn't know anything about farming. He's going to go broke if he keeps the field. His daughter then comes in to tell him that the White Sox are playing outside. So they go watch, but Annie's family can't see the ghosts, but Ray, his wife, and his daughter can all see.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, in-laws. Uncle Corey here. When you're at your in-laws' home, like they own it and you don't, watch your motherfucking tone. Period. End of PSA. Because if the old lady, Mark's fucking bitch cunt wife fucking decides to open her mouth too, I'm kicking them all the fuck out by their assholes. Fuck them.
Yes.
I hated her entire family. If I were her, like, look, you kind of go, I love Amy Madigan's character in this movie. She's fucking phenomenal, and she's a great actress in and of her own right. But if you look at her character, she got super involved in the 60s. She's from Iowa, got super involved with the 60s. Who'd she marry? A fucking guy who won't talk about his past at all. She's never met his father. He does not discuss his past at all. And she's like, you know what? Let's get married. You know what else we're going to do? We're going to shove it right up my entire family's asshole, and we're going to move back to Iowa, start a farm. And that's why she went along with the fucking baseball thing, because she was like, you know what? Mark and Mama are going to go fucking bananas over this.
Is it possible this story is true?
Literally, Berkeley, Brooklyn, and now he's just in Iowa like, I'm going to be a fucking farmer now. Want to know why? Because fuck you. That's why.
Yeah, pretty much. And the mother-in-law, in all honesty, mother-in-law, you speak like that about me behind my back like a regular American.
Absolutely.
You don't talk to me like that to my face in my own goddamn house.
Keep that shit. This is my fucking house. Keep that shit to yourself.
Exactly.
Like, he's lucky he didn't start fucking laying hands. So Ray then hears the voice again, which now says, ease his pain.
I don't know about you, but when I heard ease his pain, I was like, yeah, just go masturbate, bro. That's how I ease my pain. I just go, I lock the office door for about 15, 20 minutes. No more pain.
Let me tell you about Iowa in the 80s or whenever this takes place. There is no masturbation because we then cut to nobody apparently masturbates. Nobody has premarital sex. Nobody wants equality for anybody because they cut to this book banning meeting. They're meeting about Terence Mann and his works. And Ray realizes here that he has to contact Terence Mann, the author, who, after checking out some microfiche, he realizes that he was a huge baseball fan. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it almost comes out of left field. It just kind of I know. Settle down. It just shows up and they're like, oh, like all of a sudden it's Footloose and we're burning books and, you know, they're like, oh, Terence Mann, he's a black dude that fought for like equal rights. Ban all his books. Like this is bullshit. You couldn't get more like Midwest farmland, Iowa than like this scene.
Yeah, well, I think he's a pervert. He's probably a communist too.
And then you have, you know, White Jesus or White Mary who comes in Annie, and she's just like, yeah, you can't do that. And you're a piece of shit and you don't masturbate or whatever she says here. And she gets juiced after this meeting that she was like white Christ and came in and told these people where it's at.
Yeah. Like, I know Karin is specifically reserved. Like, it was originally intended for white women disrupting black people, just trying to live their lives and threatening to call the police on them. And then it got morphed into what it is today, which is just this crazy amalgam of white women basically doing white women shit. And this is the two spectrums. You have liberal Karin and conservative Karin going head to head. And it is phenomenal to watch. If that's what the UFC was, I would buy every pay-per-view.
100%. 100%. I would buy if the UFC was this, and then Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg fighting each other in the cage. I'm buying every weekend. I'm buying those fights.
Yeah, and I hate to break it to you, but between Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, they're kind of fighting. It's just a math equation. They fight on chalkboard. It's not what you think it is.
It's not even dry erase. They're going to fight with VR headsets on. It's just going to be them with controllers. Like, Ray then convinces Annie he's got to go to Boston to find Terence and bring him to a Red Sox game, which he saw in his dream one night, and Annie did too. You've now gone down the rabbit hole of your spouse hearing voices, building a baseball field. Now you bitches are seeing ghosts in your backyard, right? And they're having a catch and they're doing the stuff. Okay, cool. Everything's good to go. You're the ride or die. You're good. But Kevin Costner here is like, well, I got to go to Boston to see Terence Mann because I think that's what Ease His Pain is. And this is the bridge too far for Annie. Like, she's like, oh, we're almost broke. He was like, motherfucker, we were almost broke a year ago. Like, this is just, well, let's see this through to the end. And then he does the microfiche, and Terence Mann was a huge baseball. Like, he goes through this whole thing, right? And he spends all day doing it. They're in the car or the truck ride home, and he's like, yeah, and I think that's what he was a huge baseball fan and yada, yada. She's got nothing but jokes here. They get in, and she goes, oh, by the way, I had a dream of that you and Terence Mann were at a Red Sox game. And he's like, I had the same dream.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
FYI, don't do what Annie does here and hold that information when he's been talking about Terence Mann all goddamn day.
I dreamt last night you were at Fenway with Terence Mann.
Information that should have been useful to Kevin Costner about, I don't know, 10 hours ago before he got into the microfiche rabbit hole. And I don't know if you guys have ever used one of those. It's a bit much. Okay, you got slides you got to put. There's a whole thing. Tell them about the dream at the very beginning.
Yeah, this I did not like this part either. I thought this was poor writing at best, where they just decided at some point in time they had to figure out either one, they had to have some sort of like make it seem like she's starting to crack and she can't take this anymore, or two, why she's finally getting back on board. And it just fell flat. If you maybe had her like get home from whatever the fuck and take a nap and wake up and be like, yo, I had a strange fucking dream, then you can have the same dream. She's like, holy shit, I had that dream this morning. Or have a scene. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and you almost make her out to be an asshole just fucking with him and wasting so much time.
You were right.
This was back during the fucking Dewey Decimal System, too. He had to go through a card catalog to figure out where the microfiche was located, then actually fucking locate it and hope it was in the right fucking spot. Then had to load that up into the fucking machine and flip through everything about Terence. Get the fuck out of here. This is insane. And yes, she knew the whole time?
Ray then goes to Boston. He finds Terence. He brings him to the Red Sox game. At the game, Ray sees the message on the scoreboard telling him to find this 1920s baseball player named Archibald Moonlight Graham. And Terence admits after getting dropped off after the game that he saw the message too, and that he and Ray should travel to Minnesota, which is Moonlight's hometown, to find him.
So now everybody's just wasting Ray's goddamn time and making him think he's even more crazy, making his head spin, trying to figure out what possibly could this message mean. Meanwhile, Terence is like, yo, I know it's been like 3 hours, but I heard that shit too, bro.
Exactly.
You're on Impractical Jokers.
So these guys get into Ray's van. They travel to Minnesota. They go to the local paper, and this lady there tells them that Moonlight Graham has been dead since 1972. So they go back to their motel room. Ray decides to go for a walk. And during the walk, he's magically transported back in time to 1972. He finds Moonlight Graham in the streets, and Graham declines Ray's invitation to fulfill his dream and play baseball again because he got called up. He was supposed to play. He didn't have an at-bat or something along those lines. And he's like, no, I like being a doctor in my hometown, even though this is a dream and I'm dead and whatever. So fuck you, Ray.
It'll have to stay a wish. I was born here. I lived here. I'll die here.
And in like 3 scenes, we find out he was lying too.
Yeah,
he did want to play.
Everybody's just
because
lying to Ray.
Fuck up. Yeah, right? Like, why are you all fucking pulling rope-a-dopes on Ray? It's like a 3-card Monty here.
Listen, Ray, we've already decided that Ray has some mental illness happening. Can we not fuck with him? Continue. Just like, hey, yeah, dude, I totally would like to do that. I'm going to, I don't know, transport my essence or whatever into this hitchhiker on the road and just pick him up because that's going to be me. Let's just do that, which is what happens. So Terence decides that he wants to go back to Iowa with Ray, and on their way, they pick up the hitchhiker. The hitchhiker is Moonlight Graham as a youngster, and they get to the farm where Moonlight plays with the other ghosts because Shoeless Joe Jackson can't keep his mouth shut about the baseball field. And he tells Ray that, like, hey, all these ghost baseball players wanted to come and check out your awesome field. So your field's mint. So I brought all the ghosts.
Except for no out loud racist because they won't let Ty Cobb play.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
So if you're like an out loud racist, you can't play. But if you're like Jackie Robinson, no.
No! God, please, no! No!
This is what I will say, and I don't know if you caught this, but I found myself smiling in this scene because Terence sees the ghosts. Like, he can see everybody and yada yada. So he's watching the Ray's family. They're all there watching and having a good time. There is nothing that warms my heart more than watching James Earl Jones have a good ass time. James Earl Jones smiling and laughing and doing the wave makes me so happy. And I don't know if it's because his voice comes across as like kind of always like he's that deep voice and he's always sullen and whatever in a lot of the characters he plays and super serious. So watching James Earl Jones have a great time like he's a 15-year-old kid is like the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like watching Morgan Freeman laugh out loud.
Exactly. And in this scene, while they're watching the American League and the National League, they gotta hold the standings and all that shit. They're watching all these ghost players play.
They got ghost umpires. What kind of fucking ghost is like, dude, I have been dreaming of umpiring for decades. And I get my chance to go back and umpire a game. Who the fuck wants to be an ump?
I'll be honest. I thought the exact same thing watching it this time through. It's been so long since I've seen this movie. And back when I saw it last, these are things when you're watching the movie you don't really like pay attention to. And this time through, and I'm glad you brought it up because I was like, there's a ghost ump. So that means there's a guy in heaven or purgatory or wherever the hell they are, that is like, man, I wish I could just ump one more game. I wish I could just go back. That was the best time of my life, and I just want to ump again. You want to get yelled at by players and fans again? Like, that's your dream? That's heaven for you? Ray's brother-in-law Mark shows up again to spoil the fun, and he's trying to force Ray to lease the property before it's too late, and he loses everything. And during this fight, Ray's daughter Karin tells Ray not to sell because people will come from all over to see the field. She then falls off the bleachers and stops breathing after Mark puts his hands on her. And again, going to Corey's last point.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, in-laws, or just people in general. When you are visiting at somebody else's house, do not put hands on anybody, especially their, 8-year-old, 9-year-old child? And after she falls off this thing, and she's saved miraculously, Kevin Costner, the next scene should have been him beating Mark to a bloody pulp. Not Mark going, oh my God, when did these baseball players get here? That's not the next scene. The next scene is Mark getting shanked.
Hell yes.
Here's the other issue I have. Okay, so I have two issues in this part of the movie, right? And again, this kind of goes back to the writing. And so Mark puts his hands on Karin. She goes tumbling off the bleachers. She chokes on a hot dog, right? She's not moving. She's whatever. Moonlight Graham, who's a doctor in real life, or who became a doctor, goes up to the edge of the field, and like, if you walk off the field, you're like, you can't play baseball again, or whatever the hell, whatever the rules are here are the rules. I'm not one to question.
Oh, what are the rules? What are the rules? What are the rules? What are the rules?
She's 4 feet away from the field. They have this like eye contact where Kevin Costner knows like he can't come off the field. And if he does, then that's curtains for his ghost baseball career. You can't pick up your daughter and walk 4 feet and put her on the field and have him do his thing. And by the way, you could tell Moonlight Graham was an old school doctor because he's slapping her on the back. He was a doctor before CPR was invented.
He hit her so hard she also started her period that
day. Issue number 2. And this didn't occur to me until after the scene where Mark goes, where did all these baseball players come from? So now he can see, because he saw the ghost come out of apparently thin air to help Karin out with the hot dog. So when Kevin Costner builds the baseball field, right? He's got bats up against the like real life bats that he purchased and real life baseballs. So I know Mark and, the white Iowa family can't see the ghosts. Are they just seeing bats swinging and balls flying through the air? Because those are based in that reality. Or do the bats and the balls become ghosts themselves once the ghosts touch them?
All right, this is fascinating. It is. But the fact remains is that you don't have the money to bring the mortgage up to date, so you're still going to have to sell.
I didn't notice that because I was too busy wondering if he couldn't go back. Like, once the doctor stepped off the field, he turned into old man doctor, and they're like, oh, no, you can't go back, can you? And he's like, it's fine. I got to go. And then guess what he does? He turns around and goes back on the baseball field. He didn't just disappear. He walked back onto. So why do you have to keep walking? Who makes up the fucking rules here? Like you said, what kind of fucking sadist is like, nah, you step 1 foot off this fucking field, asshole. Like, that is a baseball owner. You step off this field, I ain't liable for shit. You're done. Fuck you. Play baseball and shut the fuck up.
God is the worst baseball owner ever.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, you know what? You step off this baseball field, you're going to get transported to when you were 100 years old before you died. And then you can walk back on this field and you can walk back into the corn and you'll disappear, but no more baseball for you.
Hell yes.
I will say this, because this is where James Earl Jones also gives his big monologue about baseball.
Yes.
It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
And I tell you what made me sad here was that used to be fairly true. Like the baseball being the constant and kind of the bridge between different peoples. And if you were an American and you liked baseball, you had something to talk about with another American. It wasn't that difficult. And somewhere along, I don't know, the umpteenth fucking players strike and the owners locking people out. Dude, baseball now fucking sucks. And this monologue just really drove that home.
After Karin chokes and gets saved, the baseball players are like, well, that was a downer, so I guess we're going to call the game for today. We'll try to come back tomorrow when everything's better. Shoeless Joe then asks Terence if he will come with them. Ray gets pissed and demands to know why he can't go too. And Terence is like, hey, it's because I'm old as fuck and I'm done. And you got a wife and a kid, so go hang out with your family. Like,
that's what I just kept going. When he's like, but I want to go, it's not fair. It's like, you'd be dead.
Well, that's the whole thing. I listen, I understand that, okay, I want to see what's on the other side of that cornfield. Cool.
Sure.
Everything, all cards out on the table. I want to see what's out in that cornfield too. That'd be pretty dope. However, you also know that like they're dead and then they dissipate as they walk into the corn. What do you think's going to happen to you when you walk through the fucking corn, dipshit? Like, I want to see but tell them to take a picture, draw or paint something that shows you what's on the other side, because you got a wife and kid. And listen, I know you've been like, hey, screw you, I'm building this baseball field, whether you like it or not. But now, this is the bridge too far.
Yeah.
Because now you're like, fuck you, wife and daughter. I'm going to go out into the cornfield because I want to die and then play baseball forever or whatever the hell happens next.
Yeah, and by the way, they're not inviting you to play or manage any of these teams because you fucking suck.
You were right.
And you can't even walk out from the fucking field into the stands to watch the game. There is literally no point of you being there. None.
Terence walks into the corn stalks. He disappears. Then Shoeless Joe tells Ray, if you build it, he will come, and looks at the catcher near home plate. The player removes his mask. Ray sees that it's his father, John, and Ray introduces John to his family, but not saying who he is or his family's last name or yada yada. And as his father's heading towards the outfield to leave with the rest of the players, Ray asks his father to have a catch.
You want to have a catch?
And as they play catch, we see a long line of cars begin showing up to the baseball field, and the line of car lights stretches as far as the eye can see. End of movie. And apparently, here's the funny thing that I found with the end of this movie. And again, my brain goes to different places when I watch some of these films again.
Mm-hmm.
They don't got a large driveway. If you build it, they will come. Well, now they're coming, and you built this baseball field, but you didn't build a parking lot to house the 4 million cars. Where the fuck are these people parking? And another thing, you could charge them $20 a head to come and look at the field. And Terence Mann here says, they don't know why they're going to come, but they're going to come and they'll pay $20 a head and yada, yada. That's all well and good, but they're coming from all over the country, according to him. They're going to get there. They got to use the bathroom. There's no food. There's no beer. There's no water. Like, my anxiety level was super high when I saw all the car lights at the end this time around, because I was like, dude, you're just going to have randos like, hey, can I take a shit in your house? Because, like, we just drove 15 hours to get here, and I don't even know why I'm here.
No, man, this is where you fucked up, is because this is all biblical now. We've taken on a different plane of existence. There ain't no pooping and peeing in heaven. We're gonna be good to go, bro. You want nachos? Boom, nachos in your belly already. You can still taste them.
Well, I wonder if there's a ghost ump that's like, man, I just want to be an ump again. I wonder if there's like the popcorn and peanuts guy who's like, I just want to be in the stands one more time. Like, get your peanuts here, get your popcorn here. I wonder if there's the ghost vendor who's out there just shilling his popcorn and peanuts and dogs and shit.
I love it. Cigarettes, candy.
What are the rules?
Here we go with this.
What are the rules?
Listen, all jokes aside, this movie's still really good. The actors in this are fantastic. It's shot well. It's acted well. For the most part, it's written well. Outside of a couple of issues that I had with the writing. I know this is based off a book and yada yada. Fine, whatever. Never read the book, so I can't tell you if it's like in lockstep with what was in the book, but all in all, man, I mean, this is still a really good movie. There's a couple of things this time around watching it that bothered me, but other than that, I'll take this. This is a great film.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how emotional this movie still is. Because my father's alive. We never played baseball. You know what I mean? Like, we played basketball. Our relationship was fantastic pretty much my entire life. Like, I never had an issue, and yet I still found myself kind of like, there's some dust in the motherfucking air? What's going on? You know what I mean? So kudos to the directors and the actors and everybody involved with this. And I mean, it absolutely still holds up. I think unless you have that kind of baseball father-son connection, I think with today's kids, like sitting your children down to watch this today, it might fall a little bit more on deaf ears, because it's just, baseball's not what it used to be. There's way too many sports. I mean, it's like, you know, like dad wanted me to play Xbox with him and I wouldn't. And now I came back and we're playing FIFA, but I don't respect anybody who does a double fucking tap cheat code on FIFA. So I left home at 17. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a little more difficult to relate to with fathers and sons today, but the father and son storyline still very much holds up.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. It's kind of like when we did Fast Times, like the story itself still holds up. The whole baseball theme may not, but the story itself, the father and son, the relationship thing, like that all still holds up to this day. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't have anything. This was, again, another high dollar request from Tori. So, yes. And I believe it's Tori's birthday, and that's why she requested it. So, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, yo.
So, again, high dollar request. This is how you do it. You give the request, you give the donation, and you give a good movie. So that's how we've said it before. We'll say it again. This is how you do it. But that's all I got for this. I still like this movie. I think it still holds up to this day. Even if you're not a baseball fan, I still think it holds up.
Absolutely. No, I think it totally does. It's a very good movie. I think it is. It's really good. It's one of Costner's best. James Earl Jones is fantastic in it. Everybody's good.
Yep. Absolutely. So I don't have anything else. You got anything?
R.I.P. Ray Liotta.
R.I.P. Ray Liotta. And on that note, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews. And this was 1989's Field of Dreams.